Alrighty. Oh, I'm so blurry. There we go. Hey. Hope you all are doing well. I have music going. Is that annoying? Oh. Oh, it's doing something weird. Hang on, I feel like I've got a weird echo going on with my... Hang on. I have it coming through my own computer. Why? Ah. I figured it out. We're good. Everything's under control. Okay. Where was I? Alright, do we have... Here's the main thing. I'm supposed to have a chat going at the moment. There should be a chat on the screen right here, but it is not there for some reason. So that's a bit annoying. I'll need to figure that one out for next time. But I will double check that I have this working. So I should have another chat that I can pull up. Not that one. I don't think. Is it this one? Hey, got your XM5. Very cool. I see. Okay, then you bought a ZV-10 because no good low light wide primes in X mount. So that's actually one of the interesting things. Also, real quick, can you guys hear me okay? I want to make sure that this is actually like working. Sounds okay. All that kind of stuff. Is the music too loud? Balancing, all that kind of stuff. I was actually quite surprised at the amount of X mount lenses. So I'm curious, are you looking at Fuji only? Sorry, that's really distracting because this is going on over here. Let me do this. Let me do that. Get that out of the way because I can see it. Are you looking at X mount only lenses? Oh, it's here. It's here. Guys, it worked. No way. Okay, is that weird that it's going to be over on this side instead? I can move it if I need to. I mean, do we do that? And that way I can keep this one right here. Yeah, sorry. Cyclops, are you doing X mount native? Sorry, not native. X mount like Fuji lenses? Or are you looking at third party as well? Because I was quite surprised at the amount of third party lenses that there were. So you let me know. Oh, I see you've already responded. I need to keep that. How do I make that stay up for longer? Because that doesn't stay up for long. Real quick. Okay, audio is great. Good to hear. All sounds good. That's nice. Sound is holding up. I appreciate it. Very cool. 11mm or wider f1.8 or better. Slim autofocus. Interesting. Yeah, to be fair, there aren't many brands that have 11mm or wider. Sony may be the only one. They've got that 11mm 1.8 and then the Laowa 10mm, I think it is. It's a 2.8. Yeah, you're gonna have very slim choices for 11mm or wider at f1.8 or better. That's gonna be a tough one, especially for APS-C. If I have a noise gate on, it's slightly strong. Okay, let me fix that. That could be in my Go XLR stuff. Because I'm not using a Go XLR. Let's just turn it off. Is that okay? I just turned the noise gate off completely. It should be fine in here. This is a PC that I moved from home at the moment, and I used to use my Go XLR in a different setup, so different mic and everything. So if the noise gate is a little bit strong, let me know. So that hopefully that should be better. That should be better. I appreciate it. Brand agnostic. So that's kind of what I'm looking at talking about today, because this year I've tried 4, maybe 5 brands of cameras this year, and I've really enjoyed all of them. In different ways, right? Each one seemed to have their own strengths and their own specialties, but yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I think people get really uptight and like kind of crazy about which brand is best, and yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more once everyone else kind of hops in. We got 17 people here already. That's great. Thank you all for coming. If you have noise gate on, oh yes, I already did this. Okay, that's gonna be confusing because now I have two things. What mic is it? I'm gonna leave that down because this is over here. You know what I can do? Let's just do this. Does that work? Ugh. How do I make you larger? Oh, you're gone. How do I need to make you stay up for longer. And then that's where this comes in handy. It is the Bluebird. It is the old one, so it's from the early 2000s. They came out with a new one, the Bluebird SL. So I think it was in like 2008 or 2009. Blue was bought by Logitech, and they kind of focused in more on like gaming stuff, like the Yeti kind of style microphones. But back in the day, the Blue Bottle microphones were sort of studio style, and I loved them. They're so cool. So yes, there is a Bluebird SL is a new one, but you can get this for like $100 on eBay. I think it's great. I think it's a really nice little microphone, which is cool. Panasonic was my very first mirrorless type of camera. I think it might have been mine as well. So yes, my first mirrorless that I used was Panasonic. I didn't own it though. It was technically my sister's. So when I first started getting into wedding videography, my sister's cameras were the GH4s and the GH5s. Well, mainly GH4s, and then the GH5 came out. So we were using GH4s a lot back in the day, and really enjoyed it. So, but then I moved to Sony. As soon as the A7 III came out, I moved to Sony. Of course, I didn't know much about Micro Four Thirds and had the G7 and G85, and then switched to Sony after 2 years. Same thing, because you hated the autofocus. That was kind of the thing, isn't it? With so I'm going to move this back. With Panasonic, for the longest time, was just the autofocus. That's what everyone seemed to complain about, was autofocus performance. And thankfully, I think that's kind of done. I think it's gone. Like autofocus on basically all brands, that might be a bold statement. Almost all brands, the autofocus is fantastic, and more than usable for most situations. I think when we get down to like, really nitpicking on autofocus, all of them are kind of good. I wouldn't really be too concerned. The only time where autofocus for video is really, really important, and like you need to stand out above the rest, is probably for like event videography or like run and gun stuff where you have like one chance to get the shot. So maybe weddings, you kind of need the sort of the best that there is. But most of the time, for most other types of work, most other types of videography, everything that all the other brands offer is just fine. I think that's kind of my take. So that'd be my assumption for most people. But this is kind of like a thing in general, is like people's thoughts on what they need in videography is a lot more than what they actually need. It's usually a mixture of what they want, and they don't actually need everything that they think that they need. But that's just my take. We're spoiled. We're a spoiled group, right? In the best way, right? In the best way, in that we have so much accessible to us right now when it comes to videography and photography, because like there's just so much to do. There's so much options, and you can kind of do anything. It works great. Okay, let me get back to some of these. Yes, you're saying about this, so the autofocus was the main problem, for sure. I'm planning on getting the A6700, but should I get the ZVE10 first to get started? I don't know. Depends on what you need, depends on your budget. So ultimately it all comes down to budget. And do you mean the original ZVE10 or the ZVE10 Mark II? My take is, if you can afford an A6700 and no lenses other than the kit lens, then you can't afford the camera. You need to get better lenses. That's my position. Both are good, but the A6700 is pretty substantially better. I'll put it that way, because you got a lot more stuff: IBIS, mechanical shutter, viewfinder, yeah, just a whole lot more. Gabe is here. How are you doing, Gabe? Hope you're doing well. Then I started with the ZV1 because it was a camera for creators and I wasn't going for the same things others. From there I went to the A6400, then with the Sigma 16 to the ZV-10 and now FX30. That's a great little upgrade path. I'm guessing you've been focusing on tech stuff based off of your YouTube handle thumbnail thing. So yeah, I never used any of the ZV cameras that weren't interchangeable lens. I kind of have a thing. A camera that doesn't have interchangeable lenses just does not appeal to me at all. That's kind of where I'm at. I know a lot of people seem to enjoy them. It's just not kind of my thing. Like I just love lenses, right? I love cameras, of course, but I love lenses. Lenses just make so much of a difference. And so for the most part, I don't really want to get a camera that has a fixed lens on it. This is a good question. This is an excellent question that you need to ask anytime that you're purchasing a camera, or you're doing photo or video, because that will definitely change the answer to what type of camera that you should get, for sure. For me, doing unboxing videos, it was hard to focus on what I wanted, and it kept jumping from my hand to the product, so I just switched. Okay, yeah. I guess if autofocus, maybe that's a true kind of point, right? So I think a lot of cameras and a lot of brands are getting really good at like subject and eye detection, but then choosing what it thinks I want it to focus on is kind of the whole other thing. I noticed that with Fuji, right? So we're using a Fuji XM5 at a wedding, just as a fun little side camera. It wasn't my main camera. It knew where all of the subjects were, but it didn't know which one I wanted. And I think that was maybe the difference in autofocus from like Sony to Fuji, is Sony just seemed really good at knowing what I want to focus on. All the other camera brands can focus just fine, but Sony kind of just make it that a little bit easier. That's probably the difference. But I also use manual focus a lot more than I used to think that I would. I use manual focus. So the original ZV-10, there's a substantial upgrade from the original ZV-10 to the A6700, I would say. So for me, I would just say it depends on if you can afford better lenses than just a kit lens. That would be the deciding factor, for sure. Gabe, I'm super stoked. Filmed a Labubu rave last week, and got another gig filming at an anime rave at the end of the month. That's awesome. Where are you doing that? I always love hearing like what people do with their cameras, because like as a YouTuber, I'm in a weird spot where I just talk about cameras, right? And then I use my cameras to talk about cameras. So it's a bit of a weird one because, yeah, granted, there's like way more stuff that you can do with cameras. You can be filming raves, you can be doing weddings, you can be doing interviews, you could be just a landscape photographer, you could be a documentary filmmaker, you could be so many things. So I love hearing what people do. So if you're here, there's 17 of you here, so I'd love to hear what it is that you do with cameras, or maybe you don't even have a camera at all, and you just enjoy watching channels that talk about cameras. I was that way for a long time. So yeah, if you could just put in the chat what it is that you mainly do, or if you don't do anything with cameras, what you would love to do. I think that'd be really cool. Really cool to hear. Also planning on developing a website with an AI chatbot to recommend cameras based on people's needs for my senior project. Oh, very cool. Very cool. I have to say, AI is becoming increasingly useful. I was never necessarily against AI, but I was pretty skeptical, right? So I work at a church. That's my full-time thing. That's my main thing is church work, and teaching and youth, working with teenagers and college students and stuff. So that's like my main focus. And I've come across so many people, because I work with a Bible college just outside here, and there's a lot of the students are starting to use AI to write their sermons for them, which I don't like personally. for other theological reasons, nothing skeptical or weird or like voodoo-y, but you know, AI was always kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that, you know, like there's no sources, there's nothing like that. But what I will say is AI has come incredibly handy for thumbnail creation. So let me pull this up here. So I've been using ChatGPT for hang on, let me explain this real quick. I love playing video games, and one of my main video games that I absolutely love is Star Citizen and Minecraft, but because I'm only 30 years old, so I should still play Minecraft. But Star Citizen is kind of like my big one. If you guys know what Star Citizen is, you probably have your opinions on whether it's a scam or not, but I love it. I'm obsessed. Love Star Citizen. So anyway, I started a Star Citizen YouTube channel just for live streaming because I wanted to do it, and that's what I want to do. So, but then I thought, how do I make thumbnails that have me stand out? So I went on ChatGPT, and I created a character. So let me pull up this here. So which one did I use? Cartoon profile suggestion. Okay, so yeah, so I made like I put in some photos of myself, made a character of myself, right? And then I took that character and I said, turn him into a spaceman, right? So this is my avatar, I'll call him the character, and then from here onwards, you know, do stuff with them. So can you make the character pose for a profile picture for a space flight game, right? So Star Citizen is a space game. And I was able to sort of do this. I wanted the nose a little bit smaller because I have a big chunky nose, change a couple of things, make it square. And now I have a character that I can use as my, for my thumbnails, or for my actual like YouTube picture, right? Whatever that word is. And then I thought, well, hang on, the first live stream that I want to do, which I'm actually going to do this evening, but that's not important. The first thing I wanted to do, I thought, I'm going to talk about a spaceship, a new spaceship that just came out for the game, which, granted, again, a lot of people think are scams, but that's okay. Which is this one here, right? So this is the new spaceship, and I was like, what would be really cool is if I could take my character and then plop him into this picture and recreate it and use it as a thumbnail. Because that way I can kind of have this unique style rather than just using like pictures off of Google, which a lot of people do for their things. And I came up with this. Look how cool that is. So anyway, I've been working on a thumbnail for like a live streaming channel where I talk about Star Citizen, and I'm able to get this cool artistic design because I'm not all that artistic when it comes to like drawing or art or anything like that. Like I can do pencil work, but nothing digital really. I haven't really tried. And this was just so cool, the way that it just produced this for me. So it just also gives me kind of like a unique vibe that I'm able to use, instead of having to like do all that work myself. So like I have to say, I'm getting a little convinced. I'm getting convinced. All right, I just went on a huge tangent. I'll get back to some of these. But yeah, I'm getting. It's pretty handy. Pretty handy. All right, my camera, Canon 20D from 2001, broke a little while ago. Finally got an A6600, but I'm still rocking my old Canon kit lens. Should I wait and get a 17-70, or should I get a prime first? I love primes. Now that doesn't matter, right? That should not impact your decision. But what I'm saying is that it will impact my answer. I love primes personally, over zoom lenses. I think it's better quality, better low light, and also teaches you better on how to use your lens. Sounds like you've been doing it for a long time, so that's a whole separate thing. But in saying that, the 17-70 is a great lens. So either I think it just depends what your needs are, what you're shooting, and which would serve your needs better. So based in Atlanta, very cool, a local spot close to downtown. Sweet. And I use my camera for mainly car content, but I've branched to mini ads, to stores and events recap. That's awesome. Yeah, I remember you were talking a while ago about car stuff on one of the earlier live streams. So that's been cool. Like each time I've been on a live stream and you've hopped in, you're doing more stuff, which is just really cool to see. I find it awesome whenever people are like actually going out and making stuff and growing with their business and their skills. So that's really cool. Hi, I got my first camera, Lumix GX80. I haven't even heard of that one. With 12 to 32 and a 45 to 150 lens. Which MFT prime lens are good for city, landscape, low light. I don't know. I know nothing about MFT lenses. I'm probably not the best person to ask. I would go over to Nigel Barros's channel. He does a lot of stuff with Micro Four Thirds. He'd probably have a good answer for you there. So just like, you know, check out some of his content, see what he would recommend. Or he also does monthly Q&As, so I'd probably throw a Q&A in there because he'll have a much better answer than I will. I just wander around and capture events. The impetus for the work is to let people who can't make it to places, disabilities or shut-ins, see what is going on in the world. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. That's fun. I'd love to own the A7S III, but even the used ones are still too expensive, and I don't see them dropping yet. I want one, but converting APS-C to full frame is something hard for me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the A7S III is obviously a great camera, but you have an FX30? I think it's great. I think it's a great camera. I mean, the only difference there is going to be low light performance and a little bit of a different look with the full frame. But again, it's only a different look on full frame if you get the right lenses. You know, if you stick an f4 on full frame, that's not going to look as good as an f1 point. I say not as good. It's not going to give you the kind of look that most people find desirable than if you put an f1.4 on an FX30. So, yeah. Anywho, I love seeing AI as an assistant and not a replacement. Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is like, when you can use AI to help you do something, or to fill a gap in your skill set, I think that's great. I am intrigued to see what it does to, you know, pages like Fiverr, right? Because Fiverr almost acted like ChatGPT or AI in a sense, but instead of talking to AI, you just go talk to a person and you'd have to pay that person. Now it kind of just does it for you, which is interesting. Action cameras are also a great alternative, and I own both the Ace Pro 2 and Action 5 Pro. Excuse me. I'm gonna make videos with just those for the next couple of videos to show people. Those are good too. Yeah, that's my favorite thing with the music's getting too loud. That's one of my favorite things with cameras, is like on YouTube, is showing people that you can get really nice high quality stuff and high quality videos from cheaper cameras. No, I've never really used action cameras, so that would not be my specialty. I probably wouldn't be able to get the best out of them. So hopefully, you know, if that's your lane, go for it. Just start running down it. But for me, like, that's the whole purpose of this channel, was taking the Sony ZV-E10, a cheap little easy camera, and trying to get the highest quality video out of it, just to kind of show people, hey, look, it's not about the camera, it's about knowing how to use it. Is far more important. Like, back to the sensor size thing, I did this is like one of my favorite things I've ever done on YouTube, was I did a poll where I shared 2 images, and I said, one of these is full frame, one of them is APS-C, which is which? And everybody voted for A being full frame and B being APS-C. B was APS-C, but A was actually Micro Four Thirds, just to kind of show that it's more about the lenses, right, than the sensor. And also, if you just look at an image, like if you look at this video right now, unless you go to the description and see what camera I'm using, there's no way for you to know if this is full frame or APS-C. Like, unless I tell you. Like, there's no way that you can actually know that for sure, because you can get a very similar image out of all of them by just tweaking them. Now, if you put them side by side, you'll see a difference, but you're never actually doing that in practice. Like, nobody's ever going to the movies. Like, you don't go to the theater and watch the same movie side by side. One was filmed in full frame and one was filmed in APS-C. So if you can get good image out of a cheap camera, small, you know, APS-C, Micro Four Thirds, Super 16, go for it. Just do it. All right, thanks. Good. I hope that helps. Sorry I couldn't be of more help. I would hate to give you a bad recommendation. I would hate to do that. So I sort of fell into sports photography and videography after doing some vids for my kids' soccer, rocking a ZV-E10 Mark I and an FX30. Very cool. Yeah, our local university here, I think that they could do with a little bit more stuff for photo and video work, so I'm really tempted to hop in and get some more content for the channel, but also try to help them out a little bit. I thought that'd be kind of cool. But yeah. My best friend is proposing, and I'm secretly capturing that moment next month. Any tips for engagement photos? Hide. Hide well. Oh, here's a piece of advice from experience. Remember to bring your SD card and get there on time, or you might miss it. Because I did that. And that was a terrible day. But we got some really cool photos. I literally just missed the actual moment, but we did some post stuff, and they were able to have their own little private moment before I got there. And then we did some post things for them to have afterwards, which was kind of fun. So yeah, that's kind of... use the right lens, something zoomed in, something versatile. That is where zoom comes in handy, because you never know quite what you're going to be shooting. And if you don't need to buy one, just rent one. If you're not going to be doing this sort of thing very often. I mainly use AI to help me understand what I'm reading when I read the Bible. It's quite useful for looking at the context of what's happening when it was written. That is very true. The thing I would highly recommend, and this is true for any form of study, biblical or not, right? Like any sort of schoolwork or anything like that, or biblical study, all that stuff. Make sure that you get sources, because there's a lot of... Basically what AI does is it looks on the internet and it says, okay, here's what people say, and I'm going to put that there. But there's no guarantee that what they're telling you is actually true. It might just be an article. They might have got it from an article somewhere on the internet that has absolutely no backing. So always make sure, if you're ever using AI for research, for anything. Again, we work with a lot of college students, and they're using it a lot. Make sure that you get the sources of where it's pulling its information from, and then go and double check that source, because otherwise it could just be coming from anywhere. I mean, I can go on to Wikipedia and change things if I wanted to. Fun fact, whenever I was a kid, we actually signed up on Wikipedia to be a moderator for the ophicleide page. So if you've never heard of an ophicleide before, it's a woodwind instrument, I think, or maybe brass. I think it's woodwind. But the ophicleide, and we thought that it would be really cool that because a flute player is called a flautist, and we thought an ophicleide player should be called an ophiclophonist. So we signed up to Wikipedia to change the name ophicleide player to ophiclophonist in the whole article about ophicleide players. So no, it got taken down, like it got changed back, but always just be careful of where you're getting your sources from, because it might just be a teenager being an idiot online. Tips for engagement photos 7200 with 2x teleconverter. I have never used a teleconverter. Are they actually useful? I don't know why I've never used one, but I've just felt like they're never actually all that useful. Like, what's the difference between using a 70 to 200 with a 2x teleconverter and a 100 to 400 lens? That's genuinely curious. Is there a difference? I don't really know. I guess, if you don't have the 100 to 400, then it'll do something different. But yeah. So yeah, I kind of titled this live stream, "Which camera is best?" Did I do that? I don't even know if I changed the title of this live stream. I had like a typo in a live stream for forever ago. Yeah, which camera brand is best? Okay, so I have used almost all of the camera brands this year, just out of curiosity to figure out which one I like the most. What just happened? What happened? Did I do something weird? I think I might have broken something, but we're fine. We're just gonna keep going. And yeah, sorry, I got really distracted there for a second. I tried loads. Let me grab some. So, I'm a Sony guy. I've always been a Sony guy. And I've wanted to branch out, mainly because new Sony cameras just haven't really interested me as much for the amount of money that they cost. Not that they're bad cameras, I just find that they're asking more than I'm willing to pay for what it is that they're offering. So I thought I'll branch out I'm going to try a lot of other brands. The only one I haven't tried is this year's Canon. I haven't tried any new Canons. I would love to try the 50V, the R50V. I think that's a fantastic looking little option for beginners, especially to compare it against the XM5. Focus, there you go. Against the Fuji XM5. So, here's kind of what I'm thinking. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this as well. So out of the 4 that I've tried, Sony, more Sony stuff, Panasonic, Fujifilm, and Nikon, it feels like, well, first off, let me just put it out there and say, they're all good, right? I don't think it's reasonable to turn to any one camera brand and say, that brand is trash, right? I don't think you can look at Nikon cameras and say that Nikon is a bad camera company. They're just not, right? Like, they make great cameras. So it looks like I have something in my hair there, but I can't get it. There you go. So I'm so distracted today. So all camera brands offer really good cameras, and the question is, are they good? Like, or are they good for you? I think that's the question. Are they good for you and what you need? And it feels like each camera brand have their own strengths. For Sony, again, as a long-time Sony shooter, it's the ecosystem. The ecosystem is unparalleled by any other camera company. The amount of lenses, third-party lenses, first-party lenses, bodies, options, used market, accessories, like they have that. They have that kind of nailed down. And I would say autofocus, but like what I was talking about earlier, all camera brands' autofocus is good. Sony's is just better, right? So it's just, they do still have that kind of on lockdown. But the others are not bad. Like, all of them have been really, really good. So, like, Lumix, what I think I've enjoyed most out of Lumix is maybe the image. I have to say, out of all of them, the Lumix is the one I've actually wanted to use the least. I think that's largely down to lens availability of what I have access to. And I've also found that the files, especially the 6K, is harder to edit. It really has bogged down my machine, my Mac Mini, which is not, I mean, it's a Mac Mini M2, not the best machine out there in the world, but I'm always interested to see. So I think out of all of them, the one that I have enjoyed the least, but is still very good, and does provide, in my opinion, probably the best image quality out of all of them, is Lumix. But image quality is not everything, so that's kind of where I'll go with that. Nikon, I think Nikon might be my new, I don't know about favorite. Would it be favorite? Pretty close to favorite. Nikon do actually, I suppose technically Nikon do have the lenses locked down, because you can use all of Sony's lenses and all of Nikon's lenses. So that's good, but it just feels robust, and I really do like the image that comes out of it as well. This Nikon, and I used the Z6 III for a little while, but really not very long. I had it for like a day. The ZF and the Z6 III, they just feel like workhorses. They feel professional. So that's probably what I would say about those. And they're a little bit more interesting, right? Sony also have some very nice professional cameras, but they are a little boring. They're a little stale, like to use, like in your hands. They just feel a little stale. And I don't like them. Like, it's not that they're bad. They just don't, the camera itself doesn't inspire me at all, is what I'll say. And then the last one would be Fujifilm, which is just fun. So I've kind of enjoyed, like, this is probably my newest experience, has been Fujifilm. And this little XM5 has just made me want a GFX so bad, which is like ridiculous. Different lenses, different body, different price bracket. Good lord, the amount of money that those things cost. But I'm very tempted, so we'll see. Maybe at the end of the year, whenever I need to write off some taxes, I'll look at a GFX. I've learned that no one knows everything about cameras, but everyone knows something about cameras, and that's what drew me to your channel and subscribe. I'm more into videos, but I'm learning photo. That's really true. I mean, it is. That's actually one of the hardest things about reviewing cameras, is like, There's a couple of videos that I've made where people have like gone at me in the comments and been like, why didn't you test this with a flash? I'm like, I've never used a flash in my life. I do video. Why would I use I've never used a flash. It's never even occurred to me to use a flash. So I can't talk about flashes, but other people can. So like Manny Ortiz seems like the guy when it comes to that style of photography. But that's the great thing about YouTube is there's like a billion people on here all talking about the same kind of stuff, and you can go see what other people say. You own the 7200 already, and the 7200 can become a 140 to 400 by renting a teleconverter. That's fair enough. Yeah. Now I might be wrong. Does a teleconverter also double your aperture, your equivalent aperture? Not the actual aperture, but like the visual effect of the aperture. So like an f4 kind of looks like an f8, or am I making that up? I could be completely pulling that out of my butt, but we'll see. I don't know. I've used all of them and enjoy aspects of each. Hey Logan, good to see you. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I think that's the thing that I've discovered about this journey this year of like trying out all the cameras is I think I've discovered I'm not a Sony guy, I'm just a camera guy. I just like cameras and they're fun, and I do not use them enough. I really don't. I need to get out and do more. Sony lenses ecosystem and AF are unmatched. True. Lumix features and value. I forgot to mention value for Lumix. Yeah, I saw a Lumix S9 sell the other day for $800. $800 for 6K open gate full frame with good autofocus. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, value. Yeah, you're totally right. The S1 II series, still pretty expensive, but that's just me. Funny enough, I have had better AF with my S5 IIX over my FX30. Really? FX2X is a tad below the A6700, but Lumix does have a motorcycle subject mode, which I use often. Fair enough. Yeah. I haven't used the S5 IIX, and my S9, I almost always use manual focus lenses. I don't know why, but the lenses that I have available to it, those are the lenses that I like using. But the autofocus is good, so for sure. My Leica is my favorite to use, though. The menus and everything about it is super refined. I've never used a Leica. I want to, but I don't want to spend Leica money. So I need to rent one sometime just to see what's up. Brandon, how's it going? Aloha. I didn't know you were. I was about to say Italian. That's Hawaii. I'm so tired today. Hope you're doing well. One thing I've noticed between using a Canon, Sony and Nikon is that the Nikon mount on my friends' cameras tend to be weaker than the Canon and Sony that I have. Not sure if that's the lenses though. Weaker as in there's a little bit of play? I haven't noticed that on this one. But I've only used a couple of Nikon cameras, so I can't speak to the entire ecosystem. That's interesting. If that's something that a lot of people have experienced, that would be I haven't heard that before. So I hope that maybe is a bit of a one-off, but that would be an interesting one. Oh, I went too far. It's why I try to stay away from testing, because I'll never please everybody. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There is no pleasing everybody. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's some people on the internet that feel the need to attack your character over your opinion on a camera, which, when you stop and you think about it, is probably the most ridiculous thing ever. I know this happens in all other niches as well, right? I've seen it happen in the music world, on YouTube, in the tech world. I just think it's so funny. This person was not attacking my character at all, but I was talking about the ZF, right? Which I think is cool, and I really like the big grip that I have on here. And one of the comments said, that grip ruins the camera. And I was like, ruins the camera? I mean, how does it ruin a camera? Just take it off. It's like if I put this on, am I only at 8 megapixels now? Does my autofocus get worse? Do you know what I mean? It's really bizarre how people get up in arms about stuff. And I had a camera or a comment on a video recently, and it got 8 comments underneath it of people being like, this is a terrible take, which I don't like. I don't like it when people go and attack negative comments, because people are entitled to their negative comments. But I just think it's really funny. Like, I saw Nigel Barrows, who's a buddy of mine out in Portland. You guys know who he is. He's got a huge channel, 150, 160k. He has a second channel, and one of his videos that he put out recently, he got this comment on it being like, "You've been on YouTube for 20 years and you've only got 3,000 subscribers," and he's just started like pinning these things, like pinning negative comments on his videos, and it's just really funny. I just like, I'm always tempted to try that. I haven't tried it, but I thought it'd be kind of funny to just like, whenever you get like a really horrible comment, just pin it, just because. Just to test, or just test the features I use most and I'm most excited about, and then just go on living my life. That's a good way to do it. You know, can't ask for any more than that. Like, that's a different tax bracket. It is. It's, or a different credit card, you know, debt bracket, depending on how you want to approach these things. But yeah, they're a lot of money. But it's the novelty. It's the novelty of it, I think, that people love. I think the new Sony RX is competing with the Panasonic S9. Something I knew straight off the bat. I saw the S9 at VidCon in 2024. I think Sony is overpriced compared to the S9. Oh, you mean the $5,000 Sony? I think it's more after Leica than the S9. Yeah, I would find those two very difficult to compare. Totally different price points. I guess it would be a similar style of clientele, but yeah, very, very different price points. I think that's why that doesn't do well, right? So this is not what we're talking about today necessarily, but the RX, whatever it was, RX 100 or RX1R Mark III, I can't remember, lots of letters. It's competing in that bracket of like the GFX cameras and the Leicas. I think the difference is that Sony have budget cameras, whereas Leica is just expensive cameras. So I think that's maybe like the weird thing, is like, because Sony has a lot of people in its ecosystem who are like, who would think spending $2,000 on a camera is crazy. So when a $5,000 camera come out, they're like, this just seems uncharacteristically Sony. Whereas when Leica come out with a $10,000 camera, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's Leica. They just do that. Same with GFX cameras by Fuji. It's like, oh, it's a GFX. It's going to be expensive. But when Sony come out, it's like, it's a Sony camera. You're not automatically thinking it's going to be expensive, even though it might be. That thought I had. Doesn't matter. Not important, just something I was thinking about. It's just console wars for adults. Adults is a strong word. They might be older. I don't know if I would use the word adult, but yes. Yeah, you're right. Can Leica get expensive? Hell yes. Got to play with a $280,000 Leica. What was that? One of the old films? One of the old film Leicas? That's crazy. But you can also get them for quite cheap on the used market, so I would say be open to it, because I bet you'd be surprised. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, maybe someday a Leica will arrive through the door. But I don't know. Part of me loves talking about cheap gear. There's a couple of reasons I like talking about cheap gear. Here we go. Should we do some inside baseball? This is probably bad. I probably shouldn't do that. This might hurt my channel, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's only 19 people here. It's fine. One of the best things about talking about cheap gear is affiliate sales. I know that sounds terrible, but it is lucrative on YouTube to talk about gear that is accessible to everybody, right? If I talk about, so for example, I'm working with a company to get a desk soon for my home setup, and I want my home setup to be nice. I'm really working on making it. I'm putting a lot of my own money into this home setup, but they're sending me a desk that's like $2,000. Now, I'm never going to spend $2,000 on a desk, and whenever I make that video, chances are very few people are going to buy it, right? But if I talk about a $100 desk, chances are more people are going to buy that, even though the affiliate percentage is going to be a whole lot smaller, because let's say 5% of a $100 desk is a whole lot less than 5% of a $2,000 desk. I might get 50 sales of the $100 desk and one of I don't even know the math if that works out. But do you know what I mean? Like talking about cheap gear, you are meeting a larger market and typically get more affiliate sales, which really helps out the channel and allows me to do stuff. That's why I've been able to buy 3 cameras that are sitting right here. That's not normal. Does that make sense? And my YouTube money just goes straight back into YouTube. So like, it's enabled me to have more fun with my channel, which I've really enjoyed. So that's one of the good things about focusing on cheaper gear. But at the same time, the other part of there being being accessible to more people is there's a larger audience. And also talking to beginners, it kind of helps. It makes me feel good that I'm able to help some beginners. And I'm kind of at that stage in my photography, videography career where I feel qualified enough to help beginners. I certainly wouldn't march on to like a commercial or like professional movie shoot and start telling people what to do, because I'm not qualified for that. But I can talk to beginners. I've been renting a lot of cameras lately just to see what they're about. The XM5 made me check out the XH2S. It's a good camera. Yeah, I was thinking about the XH2S because that seems to be Fuji's like top of the line video camera. But it's kind of older, right? So part of me would help. I mean, granted, there is renting. I probably should rent. But part of me is tempted to just wait and see if they do like an XH3S. I don't know if that's how they do their numbers. But it would certainly be interesting to see what Fuji do. The other one that's been tempting me is the XS20. Seems like a fun little camera. It seems like a slightly more professional version of the XM5. And I've been loving the image that I get out of the XM5. Really, really love it. XM5 versus ZV-E10 Mark II for gym, video shoot, and mainly for video purpose. Which one to buy? Honestly, it's up to you. The XM5, let's kind of go through some pros and cons. XM5 is cheaper. It has higher video specs, so you can do 6.2K open gate. So for doing gym stuff, if you're wanting to do wide stuff like this and vertical, open gate is very helpful for that because you can do that cropping. So that's really nice. Lenses are good on both. Photography wise, I would lean towards the XM5 just because it's got a mechanical shutter, which does make a difference. Not a massive difference, but it does make a difference. Low light, well, let's just say those are the main things that stand out to me for the XM5. For the Sony, slightly more lens options, better autofocus, better low light. That's kind of what comes to mind when I think about those two cameras. I can't answer that question for you of which one you should buy. What I will say is, for my own purposes and for what I do here on YouTube, I just sold my ZV-E10 Mark II and bought the XM5. So, but I'm not doing gym content, so I can't really answer that, but that's the best I can do. Does it make sense to buy an FX3 now? It seems like a weird time to buy because of the new releases that are to come later this year. They're so expensive. They're so expensive for how old they are, and then with the tariffs as well, they've jumped up. I mean, there's no doubt that it's a great camera. There's no doubt it's a great camera. But the ultimate question, the question is, do you actually need to upgrade? The answer to that might be yes. Like, I'm genuinely asking, do you need to upgrade or do you want to upgrade? With the tariffs and everything, everything's so expensive. So expensive. So it really comes down to your price point and what it is. And like, if the FX3 will do something for you that you currently are unable to do, that you need to do, then yes, go for it. Other than that, I don't know, it is, like you said, it's a weird time to buy. It is. S9 is nowhere close to the RX, so much more costly, definitely pushing Leica, for sure, yeah. Yeah, Brandon's saying the same. It's so different. I mean, there's a couple of similarities in that they're small. That might be it. There's, yes, they're small and they're compact, but yeah, very different markets. So Sony doesn't have the heritage, so it seems off. Yeah, I think that's fair. They have the RX1 R2, but yeah, it's so old now that I think people kind of forgot, or I forgot. That's not to say everyone forgot, but I certainly did. And one confusing thing I've noticed is that Nikon has amazing performance with aviation photography than other brands, mainly with its light balance. But I have no idea why. Aviation photography. I don't know what you mean by with its light balance. Yeah, tell me more. Tell me more about why that makes a difference, or what you kind of meaning by that. Sorry, I'm a little lost on it. Answer my question above with, I don't know if that means with haste. I think I got it. I like Fuji, but I feel people run the risk if having the same image / feel. Look at the subreddit. I mean, that's part of it, right? I think you could say the same thing about every brand. Yes, the Fujifilm stuff has a look. It has that film simulation look. You're not locked into that though. Like, over on my Instagram, one of my recent posts was 3 screenshots from a video. I don't think that looks particularly Fujifilm-ish, because I film in log, so you can kind of do whatever you want. But yeah, all camera brands kind of have their own look, in a sense. You know, Sony's kind of clinical. Canon is punchy, has historically been very punchy. Lumix, I don't know quite how to describe theirs. I'm not going to say cinematic. It's kind of like a mixture of the two. It's both soft and punchy at the same time. My S9, I feel like there's weird sharpening going on in my S9. That might just be me, but I noticed that in a video that I did the other day. Not important, but not a bad thing either. I'm still trying to learn what OpenGate is and why people who have Sony cams like me want it so badly as an option. So OpenGate basically, I can kind of show you here. So how do I do this? This is a 16:9 image that you're looking at right now. Let me put this away. Okay, so this is a 16:9 image on a 16mm lens. So this is APS-C, this is FX30. This is 16:9. If this was OpenGate, there would be more information on the top and on the bottom. So it would be more like... That's not what I want to do. What am I doing? It would be more like that kind of look, right? Except instead of cropping off the sides, it's actually gaining on the top and bottom. So that's important. It's not, I'm not losing information, but it would give you more information vertically, which means that if I wanted to crop in to 16:9, I can, like, I could crop in like that, and then I have my 16:9 image, which is good, or I could crop in vertically, like that, and then I have this headspace that I wouldn't have if I recorded in 16:9, like the normal 16:9 mode. It's kind of hard to show like this, but basically it would mean that currently if I was filming in if I was filming in OpenGate, the image would be more like this, but with all of the information up here and down here. So it's a larger image than a normal 16:9 image. So on a camera, when you take a photo, it's not 16:9, it's more like a 4:3 or 3:2, because that is like the photography standard. So all the Sony cameras have a 3:2 or a 4, I can't remember which one, or a 4:3 shaped sensor. But for video, they just chop off the top and the bottom. Like, there's sensor image above and below this, but I don't get access to it unless I'm taking photos. So that's like the benefit is for cropping, but also if you have an image that is taller and not a 16:9, then whenever you film on anamorphic, you can stretch it. I'm bumping my cameras. You can stretch it wider, and you lose less information on the sides, depending on which anamorphic lens that you have. Most people seem more interested in OpenGate because of the cropping, but anamorphic's nice too. The thing I would say about anamorphic is you have to be very aware that you're probably not going to use it very much. That doesn't make it bad. It just means that you don't need it very often. When you need it or want it, it's fantastic, but it's not a particularly common thing. I believe it means you can record using the whole sensor. Yeah, exactly. So it's more information, which is always nice. Does autofocus of XM5, is it really that bad compared to Sony that it becomes a topic to discuss about? So I try to say this a lot because we have a bad habit of doing this. The Fujifilm autofocus is not bad. It's good. It's good autofocus, but Sony is better. Does that make sense? I'm not like when we talk about Sony having better autofocus than Fuji, it's not to say that Fuji is bad. Fuji has good autofocus. It's just that Sony's is better. And I think we do this all the time, and it's kind of driving me a little crazy, in that I can say Sony is better at this, and then everyone's like, oh, that means that Nikon is bad. It's like, no, it's not bad. It's just that one's better, right? Like a Burano gets a better image than an FX3. That doesn't make the FX3 bad. The Burano's just better, obviously, because you're paying more, right? So it's not a case of like one of them is bad. It's just a case that one is better. I hope that makes sense. Now, some cameras do have bad autofocus, but the Fujifilm's autofocus, especially their latest stuff, it's not bad. It's good. It's just not amazing, but it is good. I'm trying to start videography and want to know what is the best video camera under $1,000, used or new, with great quality. Is that your budget for lenses as well? Grape juice. If you could throw in the comments as well, if that is your budget for camera and lens, or if you have lenses, tell me which ones you have and for what system, because that will make a big difference. That makes a big difference to that question. The tech guy, with OpenGate, if you try to film at 6K 10mm, you will get a crop. Force zoom, you won't get 10mm. This is because the process can't process 6K full frame. Without OpenGate, if you try to... I don't know which camera you're talking about, but I don't think OpenGate has a crop. Or you're meaning that the top and bottom get cropped off. In a sense, yeah. What I mean by good light balance is that when I take a photo of a plane in the sky tends to wash out the color and exposure of the plane when I shoot RAW, but Nikon doesn't do that as much. Okay, interesting. Yeah, it just might be, yeah, their auto exposure. I tend to do manual exposure. I would typically encourage people to do manual exposure as much as you can. But yeah, I haven't heard that before. That's interesting. Thank you. I didn't even know he was shooting on an FX30 for live. Yeah, it's a bit overkill. I don't think this would be useful for me. Sounds like it's good for YouTube Shorts and helpful for Instagram. Yeah, exactly. And that's an important point, right? So some people just don't need certain features in cameras. When it comes to OpenGate, I don't use it for a vertical crop. I actually just really like a 4:3 image. I'm kind of like, I did a video a little while ago where I kind of did this kind of podcasty setup, and I can't remember what I was talking about. Let me see if I can find it on the YouTubes here. I'll pull it up. But I did a whole video that I recorded in 4:3, and I actually really liked the way that it looked because it just kind of gave it a different look than anything else I'd done before. So I think it was this one. Let me just pull this up here. Sorry if you're about to get noise. I don't want you to get noise. Don't make any noise. That's not the video. I'm failing. I'm falling apart. Which one was it? What video was that? Was it my Amazon Prime video? It might have been. I should know these things. It is. Okay. Let me pull this up. All right, so this video, this is, I don't even know where I'm looking at. So this video was all filmed in 4:3, so it's actually like taller than a normal video. And I kind of just liked it. It was a little bit different, and I thought it kind of just gave it a kind of different look, which I thought worked really well. So for me, I'm very tempted to start doing YouTube videos in OpenGate, because you can upload them to YouTube in OpenGate. If on your NLE, whatever it is you're using to edit, if you start the project, like in Premiere Pro, which is what I use, if you start the project with OpenGate footage, you can actually export it in OpenGate, and then you can upload it in OpenGate. You could also do it in Square, you could crop off the sides, whatever you want to do. I like that it just kind of gives a different look, right? So like, especially if I make this full screen, I don't know if that works. I don't know if you can see that or not. But yeah, you kind of lose that stuff on the side, and I know that's maybe not ideal. Some people maybe don't like that. Let me get to the point where I'm actually talking. But I thought it was kind of cool. It just gives it a different kind of look, which I think is great. It's not important, but I like the idea of doing something that just gives me a different kind of style than other people. So I'm tempted to start doing that, to start doing OpenGate videos. But again, my Sonys offer me things that I really enjoy using that I don't get with my other cameras that do offer OpenGate. So that's where that ends right now. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm very tempted. I just need to not buy any more cameras this year. So, but yeah. Okay, I have an extra 500 on top of that to spend on the lens. Okay. So my favorite cameras so far under $1,000 would be, it depends on what you need to do. If you're really concerned about overheating, that'll completely change the conversation. Actually, under $1,000, I don't know how many cameras there are that don't overheat. That's just part of it. A used Lumix S9 you can get for under $1,000 pretty easily. I've seen quite a lot of them go. So that would be my recommendation for Lumix, would be an S9. That's probably the only full frame camera that you'll get under $1,000. That's relatively modern, with a really good image, 6K, OpenGate, all that kind of stuff. So that's really nice. Other than that, maybe if you could find a used A6700, that's a good option. Or again, the Fujifilm X-M5. This is more of a fun camera, less professional necessarily, but a fun camera and really good image. And it's cheap. So $800. Hard to find, so just keep that in mind. I knew at some point Paul would hop in here and just yell Sony into the chat. Matthew Dang, you'll have to hop in and just start yelling about Lumix. You guys are like the equivalents of each other. You know, the Sony guy and the Lumix guy. For sure. But anyway, can you share your YouTube lot? Just love how it looks. A bit grainy, bit warm. Looks great. I appreciate it. I can't, because I don't know how I made it. But I did make it based off of instructions from Color Grading Central on YouTube, and it is their teal and orange video. They made a video about how to make a teal and orange LUT, and I did that, and I changed a couple of things, and now I'm happy with it, and I don't know what I did. And then I'm done. So I don't tend to touch it. I use that every so often for my YouTube shots. So I probably won't be sharing it. I wouldn't feel right selling it because I made it based off of other people's instructions. So just go watch their videos. Color Grading Central, go to their YouTube channel, subscribe to them, and watch all of their videos, because they've got a lot of good stuff. Even if you don't like their color grades, they teach you how to grade, which is good. I'm starting to use 4:3 on my action cameras, so that's what puzzled me about OpenGate, to see maybe I might change my mind, but I was afraid it would de-warp the video. Interesting. Yeah, I've no. That's the thing that's weird, is like they offer it to you on action cameras, but they won't give it to you on expensive cinema cameras. I don't understand. What overheats in the camera? The sensor or the CPU, memory card, all of the above. My Canon R8 overheats. But then again, I live in the desert. That'll be part of it, right? If you live in the desert and you have a hybrid style camera, you're going to get overheating. Like if your camera doesn't have a built-in fan, like most cinema cameras do, it's going to overheat. That's just, especially if you're in the desert. I don't think you have a choice there. I don't know exactly which part of it is that overheats. I'm probably guessing that probably the processor. Could be a mixture of everything. Now, the thing that provides the heat oftentimes that gets the camera to the point that it does overheat is oftentimes it's the battery. The camera battery is a big part that builds up heat and causes your camera to overheat. So if you can do something about that by adding a dummy battery. Another thing that's really important that really helps with overheating, keep your screen open, because having your screen up against the back will not cause overheating, but it'll speed up the process of your camera overheating. Another thing I've seen people do is open all of the ports. I don't think that really makes a massive difference, but opening all of the ports and keeping your screen open will help a little bit. Other than that, a dummy battery will make a big difference. So that would be something to give a go. There we go. He knows it. He knows it's happening. Been loving the FX2. That's good. I'm glad. Yeah, I saw that you got it all up and running. How do you find the viewfinder? Is it something that you actually find useful, or do you kind of like, could you just take it or leave it? That's I'm intrigued about that. I've been intrigued by the FX2. That's a camera that I've been very tempted to look into, as like my needs are kind of weird. The majority of what I need in a camera is really good 4K or 6K 24p. Like, I don't use 4K 120 or 60p. Very rarely will I use it. I'll use 30p, actually more than 60, because I love slowing 30p down to 24 frames. It's like 80% slower, and it gives a really nice smooth kind of look. So my needs are kind of different, because some people are like, oh, I need all of this slow-mo, I need all of these features, but like, I just want really good 24p. That's all I care about. Really good for 24p, and I'm happy. So the FX2 seems to do that, so that'd be tempting. What cameras 2 to 2.5K range don't overheat other than the FX30? 2 to 2.5. That's a range that I'm not super familiar with right now. The Lumix S5 IIX and S5 II, they don't not overheat, but I know that their overheating performance is very good. Now that's under that price point. The Nikon Z6 III, I haven't heard much problems of overheating. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It just means I haven't heard much. So that might be one for you to look into. Again, like, don't just hear me say that it doesn't overheat and then go buy it, right? I'm saying, like, look into that camera, go watch 15 videos and decide if that's a camera for you. So yeah, I don't know. That $2,000 to $2,500 price range is kind of weird, because it's filled with cameras that are trying to put out really high quality, but they lack in the build quality to deal with overheating. That's just kind of like, historically, that's been where that price range is, with everything from the A7 III and, you know, that kind of world of cameras. So yeah, I don't know. I've tried to find a used A6700, but they've all been around 1200, probably because it's new. Yeah, that's probably true. But I got my A6600, and I found ones for around 800 to 900, lightly used. It's worked for everything so far. Cool. Yeah, good little camera. For 800 bucks, it's not bad. Yeah, and the 6600 has IBIS and mechanical shutter, so, and log. I know it's only 8-bit for video. It's not 10-bit, but for most people, that's probably fine. Lumix S9 for filmmaking? Yeah. So this is the interesting thing about the Lumix, is I got this camera. Actually, I wanted to use it for photos more than videos. And I did for a while. And now I've flipped the other way around. But I've just struggled to find the perfect place for the S9. Based off of everything else that I have. That's an important detail. I got a lot of cameras in here. So with everything that I have, I find the Lumix S9 a hard one to place. But if it's the only camera that you have, you'll make it work. So that'd be my take. I absolutely love the viewfinder. Hang on. Oh, you were talking about the FX2. I absolutely love the viewfinder. It makes the camera a real hybrid for photo and video, and I love that it tilts up. It's actually more solid than the reviewers made it seem, like it was very secure. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I kind of liked. So the thing about the FX2 that I was really intrigued about was the photography side, because I've started to like viewfinders. As long as the viewfinder is good, I like the viewfinder. Like, that's what I love about the ZF. I love the viewfinder on this camera. It's really, really good. And it makes me want to use it. But yeah, if it was tiltable, it'd be even more appealing, which sounds kind of cool. Low price amount, which the best for filming? Oh, hang on. Low price amount, which the best? Oh, which is the best low price camera for filmmaking? I think we kind of went over that a little bit. It's hard to know. There's so many good options out there. Need good for low price amount without overheating issue. Which is the best? Without overheating, you're going to struggle. Probably the FX30, but that's over $1,000. You're probably talking $1,500 at that point for a used one. But if you can get a used FX30 for $1,500, I think it'll serve you really well. Almost every camera that or every video that I've made on this channel is all on the FX30. This is the FX30. This is ungraded. This is like straight out of camera. Nice looking image. I think it looks really good. So also, I don't know what that light on the ceiling is. This one here, this thing, it looks like a horrible cobweb. I don't know where it's coming from. I'm guessing it's coming from the light that's doing this. That doesn't matter. But that's not a cobweb. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, sorry. Distractions. Bro, under $1,000, go with APS-C XM5 and ZV-10 Mark II. These are the only best options you have, and get a Sigma prime lens. And if you're planning for Tamron 17-70, then wait, save a bit more and go. Yeah, I mean, good options. The ZV-10 Mark II is the one that I was most disappointed with in that price range. I would say the Canon R50V and the XM5 are more worth the money that they ask for. Again, not saying that the ZV-10 Mark II is a bad camera. I'm saying that I prefer the other options right now, personally. But yeah, you can't go wrong with APS-C at all. But all of these cameras are probably going to overheat. That's just part of it. And when I say overheat, I'm not saying like you're only going to get 10 minutes out of the camera. Like the ZV-10 Mark II, the XM5, like I've filmed on them for 45 minutes. It's been fine. When you start to push it into slow motion for a long time, and then you also do slow motion and stuff, you know, if you really push the camera in really hot heat, sure, it'll overheat, but that's just part of it. Like, overheating is not as big a deal as most people seem to think, unless you have if you're filming a wedding in the desert, then you've got to worry about overheating, and you just need to get a cinema camera. You got to get an FX30 or an FX3, FX2. If you're a professional in the space and you need that, you're going to have to pay the money for it. That's just going to be part of it. Oh, Sigma 17-40. What's your favorite lens manufacturer? Ooh, good question. Probably Sigma. But in saying that, which one's this? The 7 Artisans and TT Artisans, which I have a funny feeling are like the same brand. I don't know. I'm not confirming that, but they feel like they're the same brand. I'm kind of warming to them because they're really budget. Like, this is a little, for my XM5, this is a little TT Artisans 27mm 2.8. Now, Fuji make one as well, but this was like, I got this used on B&H for like 80 bucks. 80 bucks. And it's teeny tiny, and it has like swirly bokeh. It's kind of almost got like that sort of whatever the word is, Helios kind of look. I'm not going to be able to show you this, but this is a terrible way to show images. I don't think this is going to work. Like, I was out and I had a beer the other day and took that photo, and yeah, that background has some really nice swirly bokeh to it, which I thought turned out really cool. That is a terrible way to show photos. I'm really sorry, but I didn't want to put it up on my like transfer and everything. But so the Artisans, TT Artisans, or 7 Artisans, they're making some nice stuff. But for professional work, for the highest quality, probably Sigma. They're really sharp, really clean, really nice. And I find it's easier to dirty up a lens that is clean than to clean up a lens that's dirty. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but if it does, great. Paul says he would recommend the FX30 or FX2, depends on if you need a lot of photo or just video focus. But I would say FX30 lenses are affordable and a great camera. Yep. Yeah, I think that's fair. That's true. The FX2 is just a little bit out of that price range of 2,000 to 2,500. That was Bon asked that earlier. If you found a used FX2, maybe for 2,500, I could fit in. A7C2, is it known to overheat? It does overheat. I don't know how much you have to push it for it to overheat. I know Kofi kind of made that camera famous for overheating by it overheating in the middle of a live stream with the Uncensored podcast. But that's the only report I have of it overheating, was that happening, and I've seen a lot of people talking about that. But great camera, and yeah, that would be kind of a good price point, I guess. If you put it into a rig and stick a dummy battery into it, or maybe attach a fan on the back, you'll have no problems, for the most part. I shouldn't say you'll have no problems. I can't guarantee that. I don't know where you live. I don't know what you're filming. All that kind of stuff. If you use it the way that I use it, you probably won't run into overheating. But again, I don't know how you're using it, so that's really hard. David, how's it going? Good to see you. Glad you're back. Viltrox is also banging with their Pro Series. So I haven't tried the Pro Series yet. I've wanted to. I had a couple of emails back and forth with Viltrox to try and get my hands on those, but it didn't really work out. Still very interested. They were just asking quite a lot for collaborations, so I wasn't going to do that. But yeah, I think those are the lenses that for my XM5 that I really want to get to show off on them. And I'm going to be building this out into a rig here soon. And I thought the 27mm, I love 27mm because it kind of gives you that like 45mm, which is I love that focal length. It's really nice. Perfect, between that 35mm and 50mm is really, really nice. Yeah, I've looked at the 0.95 TTRs and might get one just for fun. It's like $230. Yeah, those sorts of things are fun. I use the Mitacon or ZY Optics Speedmaster series of cine lenses. The next video I have coming out in the next day or two is all filmed on those lenses, and they're T1.0, which is kind of similar to like f0.95, and they're so cool. They're just beautiful. That's actually that's what's on this rig. So this is my current rig that I've been enjoying using, and that lens on the front, you can just see, like, look at all that glass. Isn't that crazy? Let me open it up there. Yeah, very cool. I think it's beautiful. Big lens, but I think it's awesome. I really like it. Slicers, good evening from Germany. Welcome back. I got a few days ago DJI Ronin S, and I'm pretty happy with it, but it's pretty heavy. Oh yes, you were talking about a gimbal last week when we were on the live stream. Very good. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it does well for you. What lens is on your FX30 now? It is the Sigma 16mm, the f1.4 legendary lens, and it's a great lens. The only thing I don't like about the Sigma 16 is the distortion. I find the distortion a little bit distracting. So if you're filming against a straight backdrop, so like right now you can't tell because of the angle and the way that this shot is set up. You can't really see the distortion, but if I take it over and this wall here, like with those photos, if I line it up perfectly straight, you get a little bit of barrel distortion, which isn't necessarily bad, but I just find the way that it distorts is a little bit distracting. That's like my only con with this lens, but most of the time it's not a problem. It's just in very specific circumstances and framings. If someone is coming into the camera space from their cell phone or even action cameras, should one learn manual, or is auto perfectly fine for beginners? People seem to split on this when asked. So I recommend manual. Always. I will always recommend manual to beginners. Not because manual is better, but it's like driving a car, right? So if you learn how to drive a car, if you learn how to drive a manual car, you can drive an automatic car. If you learn to drive an automatic car, you can't drive a manual. So I recommend people to learn manual so that whenever they do decide to go with auto, they know what the camera is doing. Does that make sense? So if you put the camera on full auto and you take a photo and everything's blurry, but you have no idea how the settings work, you're just going to get stuck. You're like, I don't know what to do to fix that. If you've already learned manual and then you stick in auto and you take a photo and it's blurry, then you know, oh, it's the shutter speed, because I know how that works because I've had to learn how to dial that in. So then you can go in and change it when you need to, because auto is never perfect. And the same thing, I don't know if you were talking about settings or focus, but I would say the same thing is true of focus. If you learn how to manual focus, when autofocus doesn't work perfectly, you can step in, because it doesn't always work perfectly. There's always going to be times where you have to step in and take over, and at that point, you're going to wish that you knew manual. I get on to my wife about this all the time because my wife is a fantastic photographer. Like, has a real good eye for framing, for lighting, for color, for composition, for all of that stuff, but she hates settings and learning settings, and she just won't learn settings. Like, she doesn't know the exposure triangle and how to use it, which is fine for 99% of the time, but sometimes she'll be taking photos and then she'll come to me and she says everything's overexposed or everything's too bright, and it's because she doesn't know quite how to change it. So I recommend learning everything manual, so that whenever things don't go right with auto, you know how to fix it. I hope that answers your question, but that'll be my take. And again, that's just for people learning. I'll frequently put my cameras in aperture priority and just let it do its thing. But I know what to do if it's not doing its thing correctly, which you wouldn't if you never learned manual, I think. I hope that makes sense. In India, XM5 and ZV-10 Mark II are about the same price. How about the USA? Is there any price difference? Yeah, $300 difference. XM5 is $799 and the ZV-10 Mark II is currently $1,100 with the tariffs. Now the XM5 might be up to $899, but yeah, it's about a $200 difference. So what is that, like 20% increase? Maybe more, 25, 30% increase. So the XM5 is a lot cheaper over here and offers more, in my opinion, other than autofocus. It offers a lot more. Slicers, tried it today on a car shoot, turned out great, but I got some micro jitter. I think it's because I forgot to auto... Okay, yeah, you have to like auto calibrate the gimbal. Yeah, gimbals, there's a learning curve. You just gotta learn how to use them. It's a very different thing. You can't just sort of pick it up and go. It'll be a learning curve, but that's fine. Yeah, just learn them, and get used to it. Learn how to calibrate and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Best 2 lenses for filmmaking at a low price. I don't know. It depends what you're filming. Like, I don't know if you're wanting a wide angle lens, a zoomed in lens, a fast aperture lens, slow aperture lens, a big lens, a light lens, like manual focus, autofocus. What are you doing? What are you shooting with it? That's the most important thing. Like, what are you using that for? Filmmaking is too narrow of a question. Can you do flash photography with the FX30? I don't know why you would. The FX30 is a video camera. It's not for photography. And I know you probably technically can take photos. I have a funny feeling you can't do like auto flashes. I don't know. If you're needing flash photography, I would just recommend going with an A6700. So that would be my take. I just don't recommend the FX30 for photography. It is like one of my favorite cameras for video work, like by far. But I've never once tried to use it for photography. I don't even know if you can. Maybe you can. It's just not designed for that. You know, it's like taking a Mini Cooper to try and transport, lumber and building materials. It's just not what it's designed for. Thank you. I'm learning manual on my FX30. while still learning. Yeah, we're all still learning. I'm still learning. There's loads of stuff that I still need to learn. Yeah. Anybody who says that they're not still learning is an idiot, in my opinion. We're always still learning. Have you ever used a fisheye lens? Yes. I'm thinking of going in on one for skating with my friends, but I don't know what brand has good durability for cheap. I haven't used a fisheye lens in a long time, so I don't remember what brand it was or anything like that. If you're wanting that really distorted fisheye look, then I have no idea. If you want a super, super ultra wide, but you don't want super crazy distortion, then I'd go with Laowa. Laowa make fantastic, really wide, very minimal distortion lenses. So Laowa, Laowa, and they have some lenses which are called 0D, so zero distortion. So if you want low distortion, those are the ones I'd go for. But if you're looking for a super fisheye look and you want it kind of grungy, I don't think it matters. Just get something on Amazon that's kind of like affordable, because it's, you know, it's a very specific look anyway. Also got a Samyang 35 T1.5 today. I'm very happy with it. What are your thoughts on that lens? Is it hang on. Is it like one of these ones? I don't know if they have any new ones. These are old. These are for Canon EF. But these are fun. They are fine. They're not very clean, but they are affordable. So you can do quite a lot with them. Depending on how much you're spending, there might be other options, but there's so many used available options of those. I think they're great. There's also they do have the autofocus, but you said T, so I'm guessing you're using the cinema line. Yeah, they're good. They're lacking in sharpness. I think that's the main thing, was sharpness. But yes, yeah, the 35 is, I just saw you said there, the 35 is bigger. It's a bigger lens. This one is the 16, and then that one is the 50. Yeah, they're not bad. So yeah, you'll get some nice separation. I just find they're not very sharp. That's kind of my thing I've noticed with them. I would say I did film an entire music video on them. I was happy enough. Just a tad late, no worries at all. I'm glad that you're here, Brian. And same question again. If price is the same, then what will you prefer as your one and only camera? I don't know. I really don't know. If it's a one and only camera and I'm stuck with it and I'm not using it, or I'm not upgrading from it, XM5. I think the XM5 is a better camera for my needs. But look, this is the thing. I don't know quite how to pronounce your name. Sangram? I'm going to say Sangram. This is the hard part, is my needs are different than yours. I don't know what you're filming. I don't know how you're using it. I don't know what it is you're wanting to do. So I would pick the XM5. But that doesn't mean that you should, because you might have different use cases. Different budget for lenses, different needs for lenses, stuff like that. So, I mean, I can answer it for me, but I can't answer it for you. Hey, look at me falling into another live stream. Good to see you, Andy. Got my FX30 and lens last week, and have my eye on the Cage next. Very good. Is there a preferred brand? The Tilta I see in all the FX30 videos appears discontinued. I haven't used the Tilta, actually. I'm currently using the Fallcam, because the Fallcam one has the F38 quick release plate built on the bottom, and I use it all the time. Like my monopod, tripods, and all of my little mounts that I have around the studio all use the F38 plate. So that's the only reason I use the Fallcam one. I also have the small rig one, and it's great. Small rig one is really nice, solid, and it has the Arca Swiss plate on the bottom, which is, you know, more universal, what more people seem to have. So I'd probably recommend small rig unless you want the F38 plate, and then I'd go with the Fallcam. Tilta I've never used, so sorry for irritating you. You're good. By these two cameras, actually buying camera until the end of August, and I'm actually super cooked in these two. And if I buy one, I'm at least sticking with that brand for a few years. Yeah, both are good options. Again, just depends on what you want. Better autofocus on Sony, more lens options on Sony, better image. You get all the film simulations, higher, 6K and open gate and all that kind of stuff with the Fujis. So it's a pick your poison type of thing. I don't think you would be disappointed with either. I think they're both great lenses, or not great lenses. They're both great cameras. I don't think you can go wrong. Just whichever one you go with, just stick with it and learn it and get really good at it. That's the key. If you can't get a good image out of either of those cameras, it's probably not the camera. You just got to learn it. And that, again, I've said this earlier, that's the key, is not which camera you have, it's if you know how to use it. So, like, again, I can make the original ZV-E10, a $500 camera, I can make it sing. Hand me a Canon, I don't know what to do. I haven't used one in years. I don't know how to work the menus. I don't know how to dial in the exposure, nothing like that. So just learn your camera, whichever one you get. You have the 7 Artisans 7.5 fisheye lens, and you got it for 150. All metal manual focus, great lens, very cool. Yeah, I've never had a need for for a fisheye. I think I got one for like Christmas whenever I was young. But yeah, so there you go. Yeah, kind of, but bigger. Yes, sorry, that's what you're saying about the 35mm. So you're not a fan of soft lenses. So there's two things, right? When it comes to lenses that are soft, there are lenses that are soft but still have detail. I like those. And there are lenses that are soft and don't have detail. So sharpness and detail are kind of two different things. So like detail is still being able to kind of see what things are. It's just they don't have super sharp lines, if that makes sense. But there's still detail in the image. So like these lenses are not sharp at all. They're very soft, but they still maintain a good amount of detail. The Samyang ones, again, these are the old ones, right? So these are like, I don't know, 10 years old, so I haven't tried the new ones, and I'm not saying that what you bought are bad lenses, because I haven't tried it. These I just found lacked in the detail and the sharpness world, but they're very affordable, and they're a really good little introduction to cinema lenses. That's what I'd say about these, and they're a lot lighter and smaller. Like, I'll not take it off there, but these are a lot lighter than the big metal ones, so that's really nice, especially for gimbal work and stuff like that. So I like a soft image, I just don't want something that's lacking in detail, personally. Side note, nice mic, and you can't find that microphone anymore. It doesn't exist. Well, it does exist, but you can't buy it. On eBay, you can probably find it. Should we take a look? Let's see what's on eBay. Oh, I'm watching myself on YouTube again. Hang on. Markman, I hope it's on eBay. I don't want to, can I just not do this? There we go. Okay. Bluebird. I'm not typing. Idiot. Bluebird. I don't want the SL. There you go. $110. Mic only. There's no stand with that one. There's another one, $90. $115. Well, here's one with the, I love the box. The box is so cool. $95. And then other birds. Here's a good one, $155 with everything. So yeah, you have to buy it used. It's an old microphone. But it's a cool microphone, and that's all that matters. So I love it. I think it's great. I have all three: the baby bottle, the Spark, and the Bluebird. They're all pretty great. Sorry, let me pull my chat back up. You're welcome. I can't remember what that was about, but end of debate. I'm buying the XM5. Again, please don't just buy it because it's the one that I would buy. Get the one that you want to get. Because I don't want to feel responsible if you don't like it. It's not my fault. You need to buy what you need to get. Don't. Yeah. And if you are going to buy it, use my affiliate links. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm joking. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. If you end up getting it. I own the Sony 15mm f1.4G lens and the 11mm f1.8 along with an 18 to 105mm. Do you think a cinema lens would be used for vlogging as well as video work? If I wanted to try it out, I wouldn't use this. I wouldn't use a cinema lens for vlogging. There's no autofocus. It'd be a lot more work. You've got the 11mm. That 11mm, that'll do what you need for vlogging. I would just use whatever you need for that. So That didn't make any sense. Sorry, I was reading other chats. That 11mm will work well. A cinema lens is like you're behind the camera and you're trying to get some really cool stuff. It's a lot more work. Sony, sorry. Oh yeah, instead of song. I figured. Are you a fan of flares? I love flares. I do like flares. The time I don't like flares is whenever it also completely washes out the image. So again, with flares, it's kind of like the sharpness thing. There's two things that happen, right? There's the washout effect, which is when you lose all the contrast, and then there is the sort of like the actual detail of the flare, like the sort of big lines and stuff like that. Most of the time I don't want to lose all of the contrast in my image. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. I want to try and maintain some contrast. I don't mind losing a little bit, but I don't want to lose the whole image. But I do really like flares. So yeah. Alright guys, I have about 5 minutes. My wife just tried to call me, which means I probably need to go soon. So maybe I can stick around till 7. Oh, I got that one, but I don't see it often, so I wonder if you did music before. I did back when I lived in Ireland. I did a little bit, nothing professionally, nothing worth hearing, but I've always loved this microphone. I don't know where I first saw this mic. Where did I first see this mic? I can't remember. But yeah, I think it's beautiful. I think it's a really nice mic, and it does sound really good. I think for like, yeah, $90, $100, it's a lovely sound. Very, very full, very rich. I like it. Start of debate, I'm cooked. You're good. Just buy a camera. If you need a camera, go buy a camera and enjoy it. Both are good cameras. Just, yeah. But on photography, I want the Nikon ZF, but I still got the Z6 III and the Z8. That's fair enough. I think the Z6 III and the ZF are very similar. Or am I thinking of the Z6 II? I might be thinking of the 6 II. Yeah, I mean, I love this. I love this thing. It's great. It's really nice. It's just fun to use. In the video that I put out the other day about it, I'm still working on those wedding photos. But those might be some of my favorite wedding photos I've ever done. I just really like the image that's come out of it for wedding photography. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm excited by it as well. It just makes me want to shoot and take more photos. And I'd say the same thing with the XM5. I find the XM5 is like a mini ZF. Obviously they have the ZFC, which I need to test to see if it's worth it. What kind of cinema lens would you recommend for a tele-cine lens which is cheap? So like more than 85. More than 85 full frame equivalent. I don't know if you're on full frame or APS-C. If you could quickly throw that in there into the chat. Full frame or APS-C, because that's going to change things. Also, I don't know what cheap means. The ones that I've tried once and I really want to get are the Typoc series. The reason I love those is because you can get them on the M mount, the Leica M, and you can put that on any camera. So if you have a Sony, or if you have Nikon, or if you have Fuji, or if you have Lumix, you can put those lenses on all of your cameras because M mount translates to all of them. You can get adapters for all of them. And the Typoc lenses are really nice. They are what we were talking about earlier. They're really nice and soft, but they're detailed. They flare nicely, but they don't lose contrast. I think Typoc are my favorite, for sure. I don't know if they have a long range lens. I think they have 75 is their longest. So yeah, I'll wait till you say about full frame or not. Polar's back. How's it going? Good to see you again. What kind of mic would you use for vlogging? I want to try it, but I'm new to videos, so I've never used a mic for video. I think it depends how you film video. So or how you do your vlogging. If you're going to vlog with the camera right in front of you, then a shotgun mic is fine. But if you're kind of going the more modern way of vlogging, which is to sort of set up your camera kind of far away and do like lots of different angles of you talking, kind of like YC Imaging does a lot of this, and I think it looks really, really good, then you're going to want a wireless mic. So the wireless mic that I've used recently that I love are these. So I'm making a video about this soon, but this is the Hollyland Lark Max 2. These are incredible. I mean, the sound out of these rivals my Sennheiser MKH416, and like I mean that's $1,000 mic. Now it's different, but I mean I think out of all of the wireless mics that I've heard, the capsule in these ones just sounds fantastic. I was genuinely incredibly impressed by the sound quality out of those mics. They're about $250, which is not cheap, but not expensive for what it is that you're getting. And then the alternative, again, Hollyland also make, are the Lark M2S. I really like those. They're a lot cheaper. You can get them for $100. So that'd be my recommendation. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I move on to the wrong thing? I clicked on the wrong one. I'm so sorry, Polar. That was not your question. That was Upsid Brothers' question. I'm really sorry. I read the wrong thing. Upsid, I was talking to you there. Back to Polar. Any budget ways to get an overhead setup? I'm trying to DIY it, but I can't do it. Overhead is a nightmare. Overhead is always a nightmare. You can get stands, I mean, they're about $100, like a big stand that'll go up over the top. The other best thing is to bolt something into a wall, or just use a C-stand. C-stands are probably your best option. I would just get a C-stand. Again, kind of expensive, $100, but C-stands are great, for sure. Sorry about that, I totally read the wrong question there. When it comes to ND filters, I have the variable ones without polarizers. Variable without polarizers. Is that a thing? Might be a thing. When it comes to ND filters, I have the variable ones without polarizers, or should I get those stackable ones? As to me, it seems one makes it bigger. Polarizers are great. They're very handy when you need them, but they're pointless when you don't need them. So that'd be the thing I'd say. Yeah, I saw Micah just said that he prefers to use stackable filters on a separate polarizer. Yeah. At that point, you're talking about versatility over function. So just ask which one is more important to you, versatility or function. If you're shooting cars or through windows and stuff, you're going to need a polarizer just to deal with the glass. I love shooting on a DSLR. What is the main difference in shooting experience between DSLR and mirrorless? Mirrorless cameras are typically smaller, faster. They're a lot faster. So like shutter burst. So if you're taking a lot of photos, like if you're shooting at weddings, you know, there's cameras doing 10, 15, 20 frames per second. So it's hard to miss a moment, which is great. They're smaller because there's no mirror in there. They're a lot smaller, so that saves some size. And then the last thing is the EVF over the optical viewfinder. So if you, I prefer using an EVF, but some people much prefer optical viewfinders. So the difference there is like the optical viewfinder, as you know, on a DSLR, you just look right through the system of it. An EVF is literally, there's just a television screen inside the viewfinder, and it's like looking at the screen on your camera, but just up to your eye. And I like it because it shows you a much more accurate version of your exposure, rather than having to read meters and stuff, which some people are better at than others. APS-C, but I would like a full frame mount to keep it when I upgrade. Good choice. Let me quickly Google to see, because I don't use those kinds of lenses very often. Let me look up the series that I have used to see if they make more zoomed in lenses like that. So the Samara C lenses. Oh, here I can pull this up actually. Hang on. So these are the Samara C's. So yes, their most zoomed in is 75 by the looks of things. So I don't know if that's far enough for you. That's 75. I know the Blazar Remus go up to 100 mil. again, these are kind of expensive, and these are anamorphics. So if you're not wanting anamorphics, then just ignore everything I'm about to say. My screen is so bright. I'm getting flashbanged here. They have a 125, so there's that. I think this is their A set. Is this their A set? I can't remember. Oh, that might just be all of them. I think they have a 100mm as well. Yeah, they have a 100 and a 125, but that's anamorphic. So I don't know. I don't know of all that many cine lenses that go above that. All of the cine lens sets that I've used stop at 85 or 75, or are not full frame. So sorry, I don't have a huge amount of information on that. Mic for vlogging, DJI Mic 2 or Rode Wireless. Yep, good mics. Yeah, I prefer the Holylands personally. I like the sound out of them, but yeah, those are really good. I own the Lark M2 and the M2S, and I had the Lark Max, but I sold those to get the Max 2 because I love Holyland brand and amazing video quality. Yeah, they're nice. I like them a lot, for sure. ND filters, I prefer to use stackable filters on a separate polarizer. Yeah, I remember you were saying about that earlier. And yeah, Paul was right there. CPL filter is what he's talking about. Because I think a variable ND is just two polarizers that like cross polarize each other. Thanks, man. No worries. I noticed I'm doing good. The stream's been good. We've been here for over an hour and a half, so I do need to call it here soon. And then this evening I'm going to try a Star Citizen stream on a gaming channel. Don't know if it's going to work, but I figured I've put so much money and time into Star Citizen, I may as well turn it into another channel. So I shoot landscape, nature and wildlife on the DSLRs and occasionally portraits. Yeah, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about DSLRs. I mean, when I got into photography was like the beginning of the mirrorless world. So my wife's uncle was a photographer here in Kentucky. He just passed away this last week. He's called Chuck Perry. I don't know if he was the photographer for UK, the University of Kentucky. And at his visitation, I got to look through some of his photo books, and he used an old Canon 70. I think he had a 70. He had 2 or 3 70s, and he got great photos, fantastic photos with that old camera. And I actually want to make a whole video about this because his photos were not necessarily like clinically perfect, but they told a really good story, if that makes sense. Like whenever you looked at one of his photos, it was like you wanted to know more about it, or kind of made you feel something, right? And I think I'm thinking about making a whole video about the difference between a good photographer and a great photographer. You know, a good photographer can just make a good photo and make a great photo, but a great photographer can like make you ask questions or think about a photo, right? It's very rare in my life that I've seen a photo and I've walked away still thinking about that photo. Sometimes that does happen though, and I think that's just the sign of a great photographer. And Chuck was kind of one of those people. You know, you could take photos and even though it's like you look at it, it's like that's, you know, it's maybe slightly out of focus or not perfect, but it's like there's something about it just captured that sort of human essence of it, you know. While building a rig for XM5, build a budget one. Yes, I will be doing one soon, which I got a question about by Slicers later, which I'll talk about in a second, and it's $500. So that's like my go-to number for a rig is around $500. I want like about 100 to 150. Let me just do a quick Google search and see which ones pop up because I really don't know. Telephoto cine lenses. Oh, DZO. I forgot about DZO. You could totally look at DZO. IRIX, I haven't tried this, but the IRIX have a 150. It's a T3.0, so it's not super fast. Hang on, I need to pull this up again. I keep forgetting to do this. I'm gonna get blinded by how bright this thing is. Look how obnoxiously bright this screen is. Oh, so IRIX have the 150mm. It's $1,400, which is quite a lot. DZO might have something. So they have their zooms. Oh, these are on sale. I was talking about this with they were talking about this the other day. This might be the option for you. I know this is a lot of money, right? But this is used. That's crazy. $2,300, and you get 2 zoom lenses, 35 to 80 and 70 to 135, all at t2.9 for just $2,300. Is this new or is this used? That's new. That's crazy. I mean, that is a crazy deal. Because they were $5,000 when they came out, and now they're $2,300. So that may be something to look into. $2,300 is a lot of money, but that is a very low price for those lenses in particular. Let me look at the Vespids. The Vespid lenses are great. I don't know how telephoto they go. 21, 25, 35. So they have a 100, 125, all T2.1. So yeah, that could be a good option. The 100 or the 125 by Vespid, or by DZO, the Vespid Primes. These are really nice lenses. I've used them once a long time ago when they first came out. A buddy of mine got some, and we used it for a shoot at our church. So those might be good. I totally forgot about those. So yes, those might be good ones to look into. But yeah, those Kata zooms, it's crazy the price that those are going for right now. To be honest, I'd love anamorphic, but it's very expensive. But one day, that's true. Cinema lenses are expensive, right? So you're talking 500 to 1,000 for the lowest end of pricing for newer options. So yeah, I just keep that in mind. Would you ever use an action camera for something just to try them out? Yes, but I wouldn't buy one. I don't like spending money on things that I know that I'm not going to use, or that I think I'm not going to use. So, if DJI or any of GoPro or any of those ones send me one, yeah, totally. But I probably wouldn't use it. So that's kind of where I'm at. All right, 5 more minutes. I think I said that 10 minutes ago, but 5 more minutes. What's the gaming channel? I literally just made it. It's for my Star Citizen page. My Star Citizen handle is Captain Pulp because I don't know, but I think ChatGPT told me to call it that years ago, or not years ago, a while ago, because I was changing it. So Captain Pulp. So if I do this tonight, it'll be on a channel called Captain Pulp. So there's that. Do you got an update for the giveaway for 20k? I don't, because I don't have all the parts to build it again to find out for shipping. I need to actually make the video first, and then take the actual rig down to the post office. But I haven't got all the parts yet for that. So story's king for sure. Absolutely, yeah. I think something that's often overlooked. Should I buy the ZV-1 for $550? I'm from another country. It is converted value. I don't know. Shabbed. If you feel like it would meet your needs, and if you feel like it would be a good deal for you and what you need, then yes. If you're not sure, then don't. If you're on the fence, I'd get off the fence. But if you're like, yep, this is the one for me, then go for it. That'd be my recommendation. I've never used it, and I don't plan on using it because it doesn't have interchangeable lenses, which is a deal breaker for me personally. Might not be for you, and that's totally fine, but for me, that's a bit of a deal breaker. Giorgio, I'm glad you're here. First time on the channel. I'm sorry, I'm literally about to start wrapping up here in the next couple of minutes. So if you have any camera questions, throw them in the chat here now, and I'll try to get to them. Because I've got about 5 minutes, 3 minutes. Well, there we go. Am I a Christian? I am. Absolutely. That is probably the most important thing about me, and my main thing. I'm a youth pastor here at church. This is a basement of our church. This is like a little podcast room that I've set up that we don't really use anymore. So yes, and I'm always up for and wanting to talk about it. So oftentimes here isn't the place. So if you ever have any questions or thoughts, just shoot me a message on Instagram, and I'd love to chat about it for sure. I find those sorts of conversations are much better one-on-one rather than on the internet. But thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you were able to join us today. So Thank you all for staying. I think we had like 20 to 25 people here consistently. I added a couple of things on here. So there's like this little counter, which is cool. Gonna keep that there, and then the chat is gonna stay. Is gonna stay here. Sort of live stuff, and then the highlighted chat pops up like this. It was nice seeing you live, and we share the same camera FX30, and that's cool. Thanks for answering your questions. You're welcome. I'm glad I was able to help. That pops up there, and then if there's ever any like events or like, you know, gifted subs and all that kind of stuff, they pop up. They pop up here. There's a big section up here somewhere where those pop up, but I'm not really pushing for those, so never feel obligated for that. That'd be silly. Yeah, cine lenses are so expensive, but I love like this kind of complicated but more perfect type of stuff, and I love to build rigs and solve these kinds of problems. That's exactly where I'm at. I love that too. There's something about cinema lenses that make more problems, yet like they present you with problems that you have to fix, or they answer problems that you have to fix, and it's just kind of fun, which I think is really cool. So thanks, brother, for one of the most important things, and I just followed you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Kofi's here. Yeah, you did kind of land right at the end. Sorry, but it's good to have you here. I hope everything's going well. Did you have a good travel? You were traveling recently, right? Or was that a while ago down in Ohio? I say down for you, up for me. I meant to say, I totally forgot, but Ohio is only like a couple hours from me. Next time you pop down, and you're probably hanging out with Terry, but next time you're down in that direction, let me know. I'll pop up, say hi. Kofi is here. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a fun one. Thank you all for hanging out so much. When is the next live? I think I'm going to do them every Monday. I used to try Fridays and Saturdays, but it was just kind of inconsistent. That's how English works. Inconsistent. You know, sometimes weekends would just fill up. So Mondays work pretty well. So I think I'm going to try and keep doing Mondays. Probably around 5 o'clock, because I work Mondays in here until 5, so it makes sense for me to then stay for a couple of hours afterwards and talk about stuff. So that works pretty well. For sure, I'll probably go again. You're I always forget that like Canada's right there, so we'll have to do something sometime for sure. Come to Germany and I'll show you around. Maybe someday. Next year I'll be in Europe a whole lot more. So next year is planned to be a year of travel as much as I can, with a mixture of other things. But if I'm able to, I'll definitely try pop over. Any tips for trying to make some money? I'm 21 years old and I live in the Middle East, but it's hard these days without a capital. I have no idea. Like this is the really hard part about YouTube, is that I can give advice on making money here, because I know the economy here in the States and I kind of know the work. In the Middle East at the moment, I have no idea. Like I don't know if there's a market for event photography, wedding photography, for real estate. I don't know if, you know, those are my main things here: events, weddings, real estate photography or videography, portraits. So if companies like banks need portraits of their staff, stuff like that. Those are kind of the main ways that I do over here. I broke into the commercial world a little bit, but I didn't really like it. So that's a hard one to know. I don't know that area well enough to answer that question effectively. I live in the... I do. So I'm from Ireland originally, Northern Ireland, but I live in the US at the moment. Yep, in Kentucky of all places. Random spot, but that's where I am. I like it. It's been fun. America's just massive. It's too big. It's overwhelming. But there we go. It's 7 o'clock. I'm gonna call it there, folks, and go eat some dinner with the wife, and then we'll be doing this again next Monday at 5 o'clock. So I appreciate all of you for coming along. It's been great, and I hope that you all have a great day, and we'll see you soon. I totally forgot to build like an outro, because I'm using a new computer. I only have my intro, which looks like this, but this is not an outro. So I'm just going to go to a black screen. See you guys later.